on YouTube, on Facebook. Please let me know if you can see me on YouTube, on Facebook, on LinkedIn. We are live on YouTube. And here we are. What about LinkedIn? Do you guys see me? If anyone seeing me live? Yes, I'm also live here on Facebook. So we are live on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and as well on YouTube. Hello, how are you guys? Very good. Hassan is saying is everything is fine, perfect. And guys, today we are having a really important topic to talk about. Let me just get everybody in. But in the last few days, or like 1 week ago, I posted the question of what are the struggles you guys facing in your career? And the question that got the most thumbs up and the most interest was which cybersecurity path should I follow? There's like forensics, malware analysis, penetration testing, red teaming, exploit development. There's so many different types. Which one I should be following? And in this live, I will give you the answer, and the answer is not specific direction that you should follow. There are so many different directions you can choose from, and I will give you what are the key things to know which one you should follow. So uh, I'm just waiting for people to join. Please share this event. If you are on YouTube, please copy the URL and share it on your social media. Share it on LinkedIn or Twitter or Facebook, so more people can see it and more people can join. Um, I see people joining one by one. So today is really, really an important topic. Um, And guys, what are your struggles? Like today, we'll talk about which cybersecurity path I should follow. This is the struggle that I saw the most. But I want you guys, I want your input. What is the thing that you are stopping you in your career in cybersecurity? Is it there's too many fields? Is it like very hard to learn specific things? Like should I learn cybersecurity first, or should I learn like malware analysis first, or should I learn SOC, or SOC like has these problems and penetration testing is this, and what is exactly the thing that you struggle with? What are the challenges you are facing in your career? And probably through this live, I can help you out with answering some of these questions. So, so I see lots of people are messaging here on LinkedIn. Hello, Muhammad Said. How are you? I'm happy that you're doing well. Um, Khalid Ali on Facebook. Hello, Amr. How are you? So, let's get started with the topic of today. What is the cybersecurity field you should choose for your career? This is a very important topic, um, and the answer is, well, there are so many different topics in cybersecurity. There is malware analysis, there's digital forensics, there's incident response, SOC, penetration testing, network security, and Windows hardening and whitelisting and all of these parts, which is more close to kind of or IoT penetration testing. And there's so many different things. So IoT penetration testing is limited on materials, but please can you explain the difference between malware analysis and malware development? Much appreciated. Um, Okay, let me answer this question until people starts to come more and more. So, what's the difference between malware analysis and malware development? Malware development is more in the red teaming side, where you are basically trying to simulate a real attack. You are trying to protect against cybersecurity attacks by basically testing an attack, which is like penetration testing. But red teaming is another level of penetration testing. And in this part, you will need to develop malware because most of the malwares nowadays, one second, sorry for the interruption. So, most of the cybersecurity nowadays, most of the attacks nowadays involve a completely new malware, like uh, like uh, like ABT attacks, like you have sunburst or you have like new malware every single time. You have this new banking Trojan and this new malware and this new malware. And if you want to simulate a real attack, you need to develop your own malware that bypasses all security controls that have never been seen before. And you can now test if these security controls actually able to detect a new malware like what we are facing from ABT attacks. Do the security team has detection rules that able to detect all of these suspicious activities without having a new a known malware before or not? Penetration testing mostly focus on the testing the security controls, but red teaming, like not everything is a security controls. Like once you bypass the security control, there is the whole detection team, the whole SOC team, and the whole incident response team. But they already know about the penetration testing, so you don't need to hide your own malware. You don't need to do anything. They know about your attack. They can see it in their alerts. They just keep ignoring them. But if you are performing red teaming, you are testing all the cybersecurity layers inside the organization, from security controls to SOC team to incident response team to threat hunting team. You are testing or the vulnerability detection team. Like you are testing all the different security teams inside the organization. And with that, you will need to develop your own tools, your own malware, your own mimikatz, your own all of this products. You need to create your own that bypass security controls, and that's what mostly bigger teams actually do. Malware analysis, on the other hand, is in the defensive side. So once there is an attack, and you can see, okay, this is all the things that's happening in the system, and I found that this memory or this file is probably part of the malware. Can we investigate what it actually does? What's the IOCs of that malware? What domains does it connect to, so we can detect additional machines? What mutex file or what mutex does it create, or what files does it create in the system? What changes in registry does it do? And with all of this, we can scan the other machines. And sometimes, in many cases actually, there are one domain the malware connects to, but inside the malware there are 5, 10 different domains. You only see the first one in your firewall logs or whatever the logs you are trying, and then you try to block this one. Or you might see this machine connecting to that domain and you try to block that domain, but another machine, the same malware connects to another domain. And if you analyze the malware correctly, you can see um, all of these domains inside the malware if you actually do a malware analysis. So malware analysis is more in the investigation side. So now we have few people joined, and welcome everyone. My name is Amr Thabit, if you don't know me, and I'm a cybersecurity researcher, mostly focused on malware analysis and then incident response, and then I moved to red teaming and I cover all what about EBT attacks and ransomware attacks and all of that, and that's what you'll find in my channel. And today we are answering a question that I got many times. Few days ago, I asked a question on my LinkedIn. What are your struggles in your career in cybersecurity? And one of the answers that got the most likes and the most comments was, which path should I follow in cybersecurity? That's why I decided that I will create this live to answer that exact question. And the answer is, Well, there's so many different fields, but they are all in kind of three categories, three or four categories. There are many, but let's say for today, for the sake of this life, let's say three categories. The blue team, which is everything defensive from or anything that's monitoring the alerts on and responding to it until remediation, investigation, and so on. So it starts with SOC, which looking at the alerts and escalating them. Then the incident response or SOC tier 2, which look at these alerts, correlate this information together and find, okay, this machine looks like it's behaving suspiciously. Let's remediate this attack. Let's isolate this machine, scan this machine with multiple antiviruses until it deletes the virus, or format the whole machine altogether, and then return it back to the network, cleaned and ready to log in and ready to continue working as a clean machine. So the SOC tier 2 includes the incident response and remediation, all of it. The third level, which is the investigation part, the digital investigation, which says, okay, I found this malware on this machine. Is it actually included in other machines as well? How this attack actually started, where it came from, what is the source of it, how long it has been there, what other machines are infected by the same malware, or actually might be the same attacker who actually deployed this malware in the first place. And this investigation go more in depth. And the digital investigation team resolves is not one job here. In this investigation team, there is incident handler, there is malware analyst, there is a threat hunter, there is someone who's focused on threat intelligence, there's somebody who's focused on like who has background in web attacks, for example, to monitor web attack activities. And this team is basically a team that does investigation and as well response, and is very important for like let's say advanced attacks or targeted attacks or ABT attacks or ransomware attacks to detect them before they happen and actually block these attacks. So inside the blue team there are three levels: SOC, incident response SOC tier 2, and then digital investigation and response as well, and it's tier 3 or the highest level. This is just the blue team. You have as well the red team, and the red team is completely different. The red team, you start with the vulnerability scanning. This is the lowest part, and this is mostly automated tools like NASA Scanner, Intenable, which is the company that I was working with. From your calendar, and as well, I have here the Alexa's telling me about San's presentation. Starts in 10 minutes. So there are the red teaming, and it has. What about the certificates? We'll talk about that, but let's just talk about how we can choose first of all. Once we choose it, how we can build our career in that choice. So I recommend you to always choose one path when you start. So you have the blue team, which is SOC, incident response, digital investigation. You have the red team, which basically start with vulnerability scanning, like NASA. This is mostly tools, and then the next level is the penetration testing, which is everybody knows. But inside penetration testing, there are multiple types of penetration testing. There's web attacks. You can specialize just for web attacks. The infrastructure penetration testing, which is what you study in OSCP and Kali Linux and all of the things around it. There is the red teaming, which you go beyond just the infrastructure and you try to simulate a real attack. Look at a ransomware attack or ABT attack and you try to do exactly like it. This is what's called red teaming. And there is as well other types of penetration testing, which is the application penetration testing, which try to find weaknesses in applications, Android application or software that connects to the database, and you can find weaknesses in how it deals with input and so on, which is kind of vulnerability researching or as well application and penetration testing. So you have this as well inside of the offensive. Close to the this side, there is also the DevSec Ops, and DevSec Ops is basically a company, let's say like Facebook. They are releasing new features almost every day. They are releasing new idea, new button here, new fix, new update, and they cannot wait for like 6 months or 3 months to perform penetration testing over all of their website. What they're gonna do is that they need to have in their process of taking this code from development to production is to have a testing part in the middle, security testing. This security testing is mostly automated, mostly open source, like your like white box, how they call it. You're looking at the source code. It is big part of it is very automated, and there is a team who works in DevSec Ops trying to create these pipelines and try to add different checks, like checking for any passwords will be released to their GitHub, or any SQL injection that looks like it's already in the code, and all of that. And DevSec Ops always trying to make the code looks better. We will not talk so much about DevSec Ops today, but this is one direction, and all inside close to the offensive a little bit. There is the third. This is the third path, and I rarely see people talking about it. And I start to think like, what's exactly this area fits? And I found there's a third path. Let's say call it the white team, right? And this is the guys who basically build the whole infrastructure, the administrators, and the administrators. After they finish administration, they move into network security, and they start deploying different security products like firewalls, IDS, IPS, and set all the settings for it. Even for the different system like Windows domain controller, they set all the settings, they harden the system, they make sure that the whitelisting is working, the services are running in a protected way. They apply like all the credential guard in Windows. They apply all of these settings. They improve the whole organization infrastructure and make it resilient to attacks. They are the ones who are mostly responsible for building all the cybersecurity controls, from EDR to SAM to all of this, connecting all of that together. And this is the team who there is a path for these guys. And once they learn administration, let's say they take the MSP or MSCP, something like that, for Microsoft, and then they take the MSCE, and then they take the next level, which is talking about security, and if they go with CCNA, then the CCNP, and then Cisco security type of certificates, and then if they go like they are basically going through the path. First, they learn how to do the administration, and then they learn how to harden the system, how to improve it, and so on. So these three different paths, if you are starting your career in cybersecurity or you are shifting from something else to cybersecurity, you need first to choose one path. If you are 5 years in one of the fields, you can start to move into the others and learn from all the other fields. Hello, hello, Heidi. Um, so there are different paths up here: the blue team, the red team, and the administration, the white team. Let's say you need to choose one at the beginning. Focus on one of them. If you want to be in incident response, malware analysis, SOC, you can go into that line. If you want to be a detective, or you like the idea of being a detective and looking through different things, then um, the path of malware analysis and incident response and SOC and the whole path of blue team, this is your path because you like to be detective. If you like to hack systems and break systems and see the weaknesses in them, then the direction of red team and this direction is your direction. If you are a person who likes to build things, you are the Lego guy who likes to build infrastructure, to harden them, to make sure that they are secure, then the white team or the IT direction team, the IT administration team is your direction. What is exactly your passion will define which direction you want to choose. Mostly, if you are into the direction of blue team, you will continue there. If you're malware analysis, then you can move to incident response, and you can move to threat hunting, and then you can go to threat intelligence, and you can try SOC a little bit at the beginning, and then try cloud security and AWS security, and you will go into the same direction, and you can keep in that and can find what you like and all of this and focus on, or you can just learn through the steps and try to be really good in blue team. Um, So I have a question here. Is the study and the exam of the CISP needs to know the language of the programming like Python or anything else. We will talk about that. We'll talk about certificates in a minute. But the first thing at the beginning is to know what's the path you want to choose. And from that, you can start to move into, okay, now I know the path that I want to follow, what I should be doing. Now I know the path that I want to follow. Now, what I should do to build myself in this path. And the first question is, what's your passion? Is it to be detective? Is it to break things and to test different things and to be the hacker? Is to build things and to be the administrator or to be the builder of all the security controls and connect them together? And this question, the answer should not be what's comfortable for you, what you already had experience at, what you started with. It doesn't matter. What matters is what's your passion. This is the first part. The second part comes in what is inside of each of these paths that has the that has that is trending inside that path. Let's say inside of the administration, the white team, as I call them today, the white team, the top thing is there is the cloud. How you can build an infrastructure and secure infrastructure in the cloud. How you can build this infrastructure in Azure, the Azure ED, how to secure it, how to build different security systems, how to secure an AWS and all the policies and settings and how that looks different. This is the top thing. So if you go into that direction, look at what is trending in the market. What is the things? What the companies are afraid from the most? What the type of attacks or type of weaknesses that companies are afraid from the most, and focus on learning that. If you go in the direction of white testing, then or the white team, then you can think about what's the AWS or Salam alaikum, walaikum salam, the the direction of the AWS or the Azure ED, Office 365, how to secure all of that, how to have systems that really can able to protect against this type of attacks. This is one direction. So to summarize for people who are joining new, there are three different paths inside cybersecurity: white team, blue team, and red team. If you want to be a detective and you like to be a detective, first you have to find your passion, which path you should follow. If you like to be a detective, then follow the blue team. If you like to be the hacker, the person who break through different systems, then go into the offensive side, the red team. And if you like to the person to build the systems and to connect different things and to add all the security controls and harden the systems and so on, then the white team or the administration side is your direction. After you look at what's your passion, you choose the path, which direction you want to go. Then the next question is, what is trending in that path? What's everybody's talking about? What is the companies fear the most in this direction? In the white team or the administration side, everybody's talking about Azure AWS, how to secure them, how to make them secure against EBT attacks or against ransomware attacks. People talk about ransomware and backups and how to make sure that the ransomware doesn't get into backups, how to have the enough security controls that able to detect the attack early on or detect the ransomware. If you are into the administration side, then the first thing is to think, okay, AWS is trendy, ransomware is what companies are afraid of. Let's try to learn these two topics. Let's try to focus on what's trending. This is one thing, and the second thing is what companies are afraid from the most. If you want to choose your path, focus on first passion, then what's trending right now, and what's companies are afraid of the most. You go to the blue team. Most people start in blue team. Okay, let's start with blue team. I will take security plus and CH and bin test plus and all of the certificates, and then I will apply for all the jobs that exist, and then I will be a SOC, and then SOC for 2 3 years and or 5 years sometimes, and then from SOC I will move to be an incident handler. I will start to specialize in what? Maybe incident handling, maybe malware analysis, maybe I will specialize in threat hunting, whatever. And then you spend 10 years and you are like somebody else who's been 3 years in the field, and you are in the exact same position, and you had a hard time to get a really good job with a good salary and be respected in the field. Rather than you go into that slow path, then what you need really to do is to find what is trending, what companies are afraid of the most, and how I can build my skills in that thing. You don't need to start with SOC. SOC has never been a passion for someone. It's just the starting point for everyone. Why you need to start with SOC? You can directly start as a threat hunter. Just learn what's related to threat hunting because that's trending right now. Let's learn threat hunting. What's trending also? The ABT attacks. Then let's learn how to respond to ABT attacks. How to from incident response and malware analysis side and threat intelligence as well. People ABT attacks is what companies fear the most, which is basically the target ransomware attacks or the attacks that cost companies millions of dollars. So how I can protect my organization, how I can learn a skill that helps any company protect against these attacks. Could be threat hunting, could be in-depth investigation, could be malware analysis, could be threat intelligence, could be all of this together, which what we actually provide in our training. This is what you need to focus on. How I can be the one who protect an organization against what they fear the most, the ABT attacks. If I am in the blue team, I will focus on what's trending, which is like threat hunting or something like that, and I will focus on what companies fear the most, which is ABT attacks or target attacks or target ransomware attacks. That's what companies fear the most. Then this is what I will need to learn first. And I need to just find what's the way that gets me to this types of to this image to the companies that I am the one who knows how to deal with these type of attacks. Guys, I just noticed that on the event that I had the time written that it will be 1 hour ago. I was just a mistake in the setting the time zone. I'm really sorry for that. For people who added the event to their calendar and they missed it, I'm really sorry. It just the timing was a little bit incorrect. The time zone was a little bit incorrect. I'm really sorry for that. Um, and there will be this recording will be saved on YouTube. If you go to your event, you will see the YouTube link there. I will be posting that as well later on for everyone who didn't attend it live. Um, so this is the second path, which is the path of blue team. What I need to do first, this is my passion to be detective. That's what I do like. Okay, what's trending in the blue team? What's trending is threat hunting. Then what I should learn and should focus on to get a job as fast as possible and get a really good job with a good salary as fast as possible. I need to focus on what's trending. What's trending is threat hunting. Okay, I will learn threat hunting and I will focus on threat hunting. What companies fear the most? This is the third question. What companies fear the most? What they fear the most is basically um, targeted attacks or target ransomware attacks or ABT attacks. Then I will learn these type of attacks and I will learn how to detect these attacks, how to build detections around these attacks, how to analyze the malware of these attacks or their phishing campaign, or how we can improve the security, how I can create detection rules for these type of attacks inside the SIEM, inside the EDR, inside all of these systems. That's for blue team, right? For red team, what is the okay? Red team, my passion is to actually hack systems, right? This is my passion to break systems and to see the weaknesses inside of them. This is my passion, and this is what I like doing. How I can take that passion and make it a real job. I should go into the offensive security, but I should not decide, okay, I will go to offensive security, I will learn Kali Linux and then some YouTube videos on how to use Kali Linux and how to use Nmap and then OS fingerprinting and then try different machines from different CTFs and look at CTFs write-ups and maybe take OSCP and maybe take CH and maybe take this. All of this is not bad, but it's the normal way that everybody's doing. What's happening inside the offensive side is that there are different types of penetration testing. What is the most trending now and what the companies are afraid about the most? The first thing comes is web pen testing? Well, web application hacking or web pen testing Nowadays, just talking about nowadays, it's different from 5 years ago. Nowadays, there is so many web bug hunters, so many people, and they are from so many different countries that has very low salaries like India or Philippines, and countries who are from US and from Europe. They are way more white hat hackers than black hat hackers. With that, companies are bombarded with vulnerabilities to patch and very rare attacks that comes from web attacks. There are still some attacks that comes from web attacks. Some attacks come from web vulnerabilities, but the vast majority comes. What we see, the vast majority of vulnerabilities are being reported for from someone who is his job is to report bugs for money, and and with that, companies don't really value web attacks or web vulnerabilities anymore because it's most of the cases, even if there is a vulnerability, this vulnerability will be detected by a white hat hacker before a black hat hacker. There's so many white hat hackers or bug bounty hunters that get duplicates. Like they detect a vulnerability and they discover somebody else has detected this vulnerability just a few days ago before them, right? So there's so many bug bounty hunters, and that's not the companies what it's not what they are scared of. So they don't pay as much. They try to say, well, it's a duplicate, it's not a vulnerability, it's there by design. They try to say all the different things. And as well, they feel, well, I could have invested that money in DevSec Ops rather than investing it in and give it to the bug bounty hunters. I could have given it to create a team from DevSec Ops, make sure that any code that gets published is secure, rather than I pay every single month or every single year to bug bounty hunters online. So it's not like the same as before. It's still a really good path for people who are passionate about, but you will get a massive competition and you'll mostly work as a freelancer because you will be bug bounty hunting, trying to find vulnerabilities. If you found a vulnerability today and it hasn't been a duplicate, you can eat today. But if you haven't detected a vulnerability or you detected one but was duplicate, you will not have food today. And that's not really what's supposed to be for a security engineer. That could be a life of somebody who is a web developer or have a small job on Fiverr, but cannot be the job of a web pen tester or actually a cybersecurity engineer. Then we go into the infrastructure penetration testing, which is the OSCP and Kali Linux and all of that. Are this the trending topics? Are this what companies are scared of the most, the type of attacks that come from infrastructure? The answer is not really. They are actually they are like the normal penetration testing that you learn in OSCP and you learn in Kali Linux and all of that. This is the base of cybersecurity. Companies have to have penetration testing services every few months to be compliant when it comes to compliance, to follow compliance, and as well they needed to have the bare minimum cybersecurity protections they have. Because once the administrators or the white team create all the systems, they need to make sure that these systems are safe and these systems are ready to be in production. And every few time they add new services, they add new things, they need to have penetration testing to make sure. Sorry, my question is how to be one of the top 0.1% in the offensive side, and that's where I'm going with my with this talk. So in penetration testing, what's happening with the infrastructure penetration testing, which is like Kali Linux or OSCP and all of that, this is the bare minimum for any company to have. They need it in their compliance, so it will be always needed. But at the same time, it's not what companies are afraid of the most. They really have an attack that comes from a system that's like a public facing services like FTP or SMTP or a service they have publicly, and it's really comes from Metasploit or different in-map style and then OS fingerprinting and all of this parts. It really happens because everyone is implementing penetration testing. Everyone has a bare minimum of security. So these attacks are not common anymore. The white hat hackers or the security side has way outweighed the attackers or the black hat side. So the black hat hackers will never compete with the white hat hackers on this realm. So this type of attacks, it becomes there's so many people, like so many people who have the OSCP certificate, or who knows how to use Kali Linux, or has done some CTFs here and there in the offensive side. So this is not the part where you should look for. If you want to be someone who is like in the trending topic, who is from the top few ones, you need to focus on what's trending right now. What are companies fear the most? What's trending right now nowadays is the red teaming, or the advisory simulation, or the advisor emulation. And that appeared few years ago. There is a meta organization which create all the CVE numbers, or that gives ID to all the vulnerabilities in the world. An Israeli massive organization, they created a map with all the different techniques, all the possible techniques an attacker can use to hack a system, from each simple step, from reconnaissance, getting to know the system, to the initial access, getting his foot inside the organization, to executing a code there and backdoor, and then to maintaining persistence, then to escalate privileges, like the whole map of all the techniques and tactics an attacker can use. Once this appeared, there is a new knowledge or new science has appeared, which is the red teaming. And red teaming is a kind of the big trend right now, which is basically the idea of I will be not just a pen tester. I will be exactly like the attacker. I will do everything possible, exactly like what the attacker do, to hack your system. I will not tell your security team I'm coming there. I will just do everything possible to get into the system. And most importantly, I will look at the attacks that might target you. Let's say I'm targeting a petrol company. Then I will look at all the attacks that have targeted petrol companies or gas companies in the last few years in the area around these petrol companies, maybe in the same country or other countries, and I will try to simulate these attacks and create similar attacks, similar tactics, similar style of an attack. And I will do that by, okay, well, I will create my own phishing emails. And these phishing emails, I will study the company so well to know exactly who is the manager of every single person. And I'll be able to create a phishing email that works every single time. And then I will send a malicious document. And this malicious document will run some scripts. And the detection team, the SOC team, doesn't know about the attack. The incident response team doesn't know about the attack. The threat hunters don't know about the attack. I will just perform this attack as I am a real hacker, and I will go through all the different stages of the attack until I steal all the credentials inside the system, or steal the passwords, or access the database and leak some information from the database. Once I do that, I will tell the management, here is your database. I have stolen all of this information from you. Here is all the weaknesses I have seen through my whole red teaming activity. This red teaming started to be very common because it's trending now, the metal attack and all the metal related stuff that's trending. And as well, what companies fear the most right now is targeted attacks, and especially target ransomware attacks, because ransomware attacks has cost companies millions of dollars, especially something like ReEvil or Revil. ReEvil is basically a group of attackers who stole so many, who like encrypted so many different organizations' files, and they asked for lots of ransom. Like one ransom has reached like $12 million. It's like really massive, and these attackers are really going after like so many big organizations against governments. Now people like the senators, or in the parliament, in the Congress in US, they don't see ransomware attacks as just a cyber crime. They are seeing them as a national threat, as like a national critical threat, like a war against them, right? Because they might target any organization. They might target a government. They might target a hospital. They might target a big bank. They might target the army. Like they might target literally anyone. So this is the biggest fear right now. And if you have the passion for offensive side, and this is the answer to your question, Chris. If you targeting cybersecurity, if you are targeting offensive side, then what you should look at is what's trending. What's trending right now is the red teaming. And the next question is, what is the thing, what are the companies afraid of the most? The answer will be mostly targeted attacks and especially targeted ransomware attacks. So if I can learn red teaming with with the ransomware emulation or EBT attack emulation, target attack simulation, I will simulate this attack, and as well through this simulation, I will use a ransomware simulation, which you will not really like affect the availability of the systems or the integrity of the systems, but you will just test the idea and see if the detections actually work. That can be done by so many ways, like creating documents and encrypt them, not like encrypt actual critical documents in the organization. I can simulate a ransomware attack and see if the organization will detect such activities. And through that, I can be the top 0.1% in the offensive side because I tick all the boxes. I'm a person who is learning this offensive side. I am following the trend which every company is looking for, which is red teaming, and as well I am also helping companies protect themselves against what they fear the most, which is the target ransomware attacks. So I know I'm the one who they want the most. And once you are like that, you will be from like the top candidates applying from any job, like the top four candidates for any job will be one of you will be one of them if you tick all of these boxes. That's not only an offensive, as we said, that's an offensive in blue team and as well in the incident and the administration side. If you are a person who's still okay, I will install Windows, I will learn how to install Windows and Linux and all of this stuff. You will be okay. You will get a job at some point. Will not be the best job, but you will get there. But if you are a person who learns how to use AWS and Azure and Terraform and how to harden the systems there and how to apply all the different protections, how to implement EDR and how to install a SIEM, how to connect that with MetroAttack, how to connect threat intelligence information. Well, you might not need to do that yourself, but if you are a person who knows how to work on what's now trending, which is the AWS and Azure and all the clouds, especially AWS and Azure, and as well Google Cloud, because there is some companies who use Google Cloud, but Google Cloud is not the most common when people learn. So you can also be the one who is Google Cloud type of administrator, and you will get way far ahead than a person who just knows how to install Windows or how to create a normal system, network system inside of on-site in the organization, because all organizations are moving to the cloud. So why you stay here learning the side of the on-site. I remember a friend of mine who's really a good friend, and his specialty is all these Cisco telephones inside the organization. In some companies, I used to have that as well. You are sitting here in your laptop, and there's a phone just beside you, and this phone's like Cisco phone, where it's like a voice over IP, and you can call with it, and you can call somebody else inside the organization very seamlessly and very easy without any effort. Just you have to know the number of that person if you do, or you can choose, you can search there and something like that. We used to go to Outlook, find the person, and click on his contact, and then we find the phone number there, and then we start calling on that phone. These systems now has been started to be replaced with Zoom, right? In so many different organizations, you don't need to pick up a phone. You can just schedule a meeting through Zoom, and you can have Slack, and from Slack you just write /Zoom, and then you can create a Zoom meeting. So why do you need this systems? Now his job is a little bit in danger because his main job was on this type of systems that starts to be deprecated, and now everybody's moving to type of cloud digital calls through Zoom, through different things, and they don't really need this these systems anymore. So now he will have a danger rather than his moving on to learn, let's say, something related to the cloud, or what's the next, what's trending right now. People are talking all about AWS. Okay, we'll learn AWS. People are talking about like Kafka and how to install Kafka and how to connect to the different systems. I will learn that, rather than I will learn how to install something that has been started to be deprecated. And this is where the focus for you should go. So to conclude all of that, there are three different main directions I will talk about today: the blue team, the red team, and the white team, which is the administration side, the network security, and all the security over administration type of jobs. You should, if you want to choose which career path should I choose, you need to follow three different rules. The first three different questions you should answer to know which direction you should choose. First, what's your passion? Your passion, is it to break systems? Then you choose the offensive. Your um, uh, your uh, um, your passion is to be the detective, then should be in the blue side. Your passion is to build things and build systems above each other and install systems and connect them all together and all of this stuff. You should be in the administrative over security or the white team direction. This is the first question. And with that question, you will choose the path. Then inside that path, you will ask two other questions: what is trending right now in this field? And the second question is, what companies are afraid of the most in the what attacks that cost them the what caused them the biggest amount of losses. Um, and the answer to this question, if it's in white team or the administration, it might be the trending right now is AWS or Azure AD and Office 365 and all the security related to it, and or Google Cloud and all the security related to it, and hybrid systems and how you connect AWS with Azure, or how you connect AWS with Azure with on-site, and all of these connections together, and the VPN systems and all of that together. As well, one of the trending is working from home systems and how you can have two-factor authentication and VPN, safe VPN and safe systems for people who are working from home. So if you want to be in the administrative side, you should focus on what's trending. And the second question is, what companies are afraid of the most? And what companies are afraid of the most? Mostly ransomware attacks or ABT attacks, and the attacks comes from working from home and security weaknesses that comes from home. This is the top trending topics in that direction. So, or the what companies are afraid of the most when it comes to the administration side. So you need to learn how to protect against these attacks. Once you have these three ticked on, you are an administrator. You know you are working on the trending topics such as AWS, Azure AD, all of this stuff. And the third, I have Alexa running all the time. Today is a SANS summit, so lots of people talking about SANS right now, or like I have lots of events saved there. So there's a presentation starting now. Anyway, so either you
From your calendar,
again, Alexa.
SANS Threat Hunting Summit Track 1 Talk, Open Threat Research, The Hunt for Red Applies, How to Threat Hunt and Emulate Ocean Lotus on Mac OS, Carlos Roses and Ben Bornholm, starts in 10 minutes.
So Chris is asking about cloud bin testing, and this is a really good question in the exact timing, because we are talking about the cloud right now and talking about the white team or the administration and people who move from administration to cybersecurity. They need to think about the cloud because this is the most trending topic right now. And the next thing is that um, and the next question is, okay, what the companies are afraid of the most? Mostly EBT attacks on the cloud, ransomware attacks on the cloud. They're also afraid of because sometimes the AWS accounts get compromised, and then somebody go there, deploy malware or deploy create new machines and use them to basically do lots of attacks or use them for the DDoS attack. And then next day you see a bill with $50,000 because the attacker has used your account and he did so many different things. So you need to be able to protect your account and protect your AWS system or your Azure or whatever. Azure as well is being used um, for Azure ED, which is the Active Directory in Azure, and it's used a lot, especially in the hybrid system where there are data centers on site, and there's as well lots of things on the cloud. There is a way to connect AWS directly to your data center through a cable, like literally a cable goes from your office to AWS. And with that, you can have a direct connection. How that can be done, how you can do it as an administrator, all of these questions for you is as a somebody who's working in the white team or the administration side. How to build that and how to secure that. Again, is the top attacks right now, which is ransomware attacks or AWS accounts compromise or all of this or work from home type of issues. All of these conversations, you need to be on top of them and you need to show you are on top of them. This is for the white team. For the blue team, most of if the passion is your passion should be about being a detective, being somebody who detect attacks and search for evidences and scan different systems. If you're working in SOC, you will be searching for evidence inside logs. If you're working as a malware analyst, you will search for evidence inside assembly code or inside any code. And if you are digital forensics, you will find evidences of malware running inside the machine, inside the memory, or inside the disk. If you are a threat hunter, you will look for evidences in all of this all together. And as well, if you are an instant handler, you will look for evidences all of this plus also any compromised accounts or Kerberos attacks. And you will look through the logs, through the malware, through the digital forensics and memory, through everything. So you need to be an investigator. You need to be a person who likes to investigate and likes to be the detective. Should be your passion. Once is your passion is being a detective, then in blue team, what's trending? What's trending right now is something like threat hunting. This is the most trending topic right now. And the other question, what's the basically what companies are afraid of the most? And the answer to this is well, companies are afraid of the most. They are afraid of ransomware attacks or targeted attacks. So I should be focused on that, on ABT attacks, how to detect ABT attacks, how to stop ABT attacks. And in the offensive side, if you are in the offensive side, then you should be a person who like to be the hacker, to break into systems, to test different things and to try different things. And every time there's a new challenge of a different system to attack and different configurations and finding weaknesses here and there. If you are that type of person, then penetration testing is for you, and you should look at what's trending in that field. The two next questions: what's trending and what companies are afraid of the most? What's trending is threat hunting, so you should focus on threat hunting. Sorry, that's in blue team. And what's trending right now is red teaming, so you should focus on red teaming because this is the most trending topic right now and the top topic when it comes to penetration testing right now because Meta attack has just been created 3 years ago, and now what's trending is how to simulate attacks through this method attack and through red teaming to be able to simulate a real attack and test a company against real attack. And this is exactly red teaming. So it become really on top right now. The red teaming and advisory simulation, as they call it, or advisory emulation. And as well, what companies are afraid of the most is EBT attacks and target ransomware attacks. Once you have all these answers, you know exactly what's the path and what's the field you should learn. And now we go into what exactly I should learn, what exactly gets me closer to that. For penetration testing and specifically reteaming and how you can learn. Well, the question now is how I can learn this specific topics. If I am now, okay, I will choose offensive or I will choose defensive or I will choose the white teaming. What's exactly the things I should learn? Um, and I will get to all the question guys through the topic, so I just want everything to be organized. Just one off-topic question here. I get it twice actually from Osama and uh, Abdulrahim. The question is why you don't speak Arabic? Well, the reason for that is so many people who also watch these lives who speak different languages from English, from Chinese, from Indian languages, whatever, any Hindi or other languages. There's so many people joining these lives, and I don't want to focus only on one nation or one group of people. I want to help everyone, and that's why I speak the language is more universal and everybody can understand. I think for you, Sama and Abdurrahim, you can understand English a little bit, and you can catch also the keywords. And the whole science is written in English right now. So it's really important to understand English and to be comfortable with listening to English, reading English, and study English. So that's why I focus on English. I hope that's being okay for you. I will have some lives from time to time that's in Arabic, but that will not be the common thing. Back to the direction. Okay, how I can learn these trending top topics. If you are in the offensive security, you need to learn red teaming. And red teaming, unfortunately, is different from offensive from the infrastructure penetration testing, and even the web bug hunting. The infrastructure penetration testing, like the Kali Linux and all of this stuff, this specific field has been super organized with all the type of certificates and all type of programs and all type of courses and all types of tools, and you have a distribution just for you that has all your tools. Kali Linux, just use Kali Linux and will do everything, will do magic for you. And you have the offensive security courses, which is done over Kali Linux by the same organization, and you have the OSCP, the OSCE, the all type of trainings and all type of certificates. So this is very well organized, but the problem here, it's not as needed in the market as like compared to the number of candidates. It's not what's now trending. Is not what's companies are looking for. Will not set you up as different and unique. But when it comes to red teaming specifically, there's not much of sources. And I did notice that there are some different trainings. There are Spectre Ops trainings. Let me search Spectre Ops trainings. And Spectre Ops training, basically they have a training called Red Team Operation, but this training is like 3,600, 3,500, and it's mostly focused on it's a like 4 days training is mostly focused on their own tool, which is Cobalt Strike, which you have to purchase as well. So it's a really, really not the best choice. For organizations might be, for others maybe not. There are other trainings as well, but most of trainings are very, very expensive, and the information are mostly scattered, and there's nothing that put them all together. And that's why I decided, especially in the red teaming, is to why not I build something that put all of these things together, from cloud security, from developing your own malware, from lateral movement and Kerberos attacks, and all of the attacks step by step, how to be a red teamer from A to Z, how to work as a red teamer. Now, as I said, penetration testing is the most trending topic right now. The red teaming is the most trending topic in the offensive side right now, and as well the ransomware attacks and the targeted attacks is what companies are afraid of the most right now. So why not I do provide a training in that niche that can help people actually learn that field, because there's no good resources. I had a problem learning. There's so many people who had the same problem, who was like, okay, there is a blog here and there's an article there, and you can try this tool and read some things like this atomic red bombs and GitHub. You can look at it, you can see all the commands inside, like files there, like YM files or YAML files. You can see like the commands up here, you can copy them, and then you can look at Splunk cyber range, and you can take some things, some rules from there, and you can combine information and some blogs about different techniques. And it is quite scattered up here when it comes to red teaming. I'm never able to advise somebody how to learn red teaming in a really good way. I tried put all of these resources together, but I never was able to really have an organized way. There are books that can might help, which is the advanced what's called advanced penetration testing, hacking into world most secure networks. It's a great book, but it's mostly stories and will not give you the real knowledge that you need. And that's why I decided to build a complete training in that. I call it the in-depth red teaming, ABT, and advisory simulation, which is basically taking the most trending topic, which is red teaming, and taking the what companies are afraid of the most, which is APT attacks inside offensive security, and combine all of this together with also the cloud security, because I talk about AWS, I talk about Terraform, I talk about so many different topics in that. And as well, there will be additional modules coming later for Azure AD and Office 365 and so on. So I will keep pushing in the cloud as well. So once you are getting through that training, you can go from from A to the point where from where you are just starting in the penetration testing path, or starting in the offensive side path, to the point where you are one of these top candidates. I wouldn't promise you are from the 0.1%, but at least from the top 4%, or from the top four candidates applying for any job, because you are checking all the boxes. You have the passion for the offensive. You are the one who studied what's the most trending, which is red teaming right now. And as well, you are the person who can protect the organization against the attacks they are afraid of the most, which is ransomware attacks or ABT attacks. So I decided to cover that. This training is still in the pre-order. The training will be published in less than like in basically in 2 3 weeks. It will be published by the end of October, and as well, this training I already finished most of it, and recording the content is already as well, like all the slides and materials and the malwares and everything will be all ready. They are all finished, and the recording is like most of it is finished, so it will be released very very soon. And it will be released now with like there's a pre-order price. You can check it out on maltrack.com/red teaming, and you can check um, this training and see exactly what's in there. Chris is asking, what's the requirement to join it? Well, the requirement basically is to have a good basic cybersecurity background. So what I mean with that is you understand what's domain controller, what's registry, what's process, what's thread. Like you know a little bit of how these systems work. There are parts where I don't cover, like what's a domain account and what's local account. I do cover a little bit, but it's better that you have a background in them. And most important is to have a background in traffic, like network traffic, like how HTTP packet look like, how you can how to use Wireshark a little bit. You know, like this background is what's needed. This a little bit of administration, a little bit of network background, and that's enough. In the pre-order, and for the first 30 students, now they are like around 15. Um, well, for the next 15 students, you will get access to C++, complete C++ training, which will help you if you don't have the programming side, because this training will cover how to write a malware, basically. So we will develop our own malware that bypass different defenses. We will develop our own cloud infrastructure, and we'll use AWS and Terraform and so many different things. So it's really important that you have all this knowledge up there, and you like it's really important to know how to develop a little bit. And we have a complete C++ course inside, like as a free added part for the next 15 students. So that's for the red teaming, and that's basically. Could you share the name of the training on YouTube now? I will share the link up here, Chris. https://maltrack.com/red teaming. Red teaming, yes. And this training called the in-depth red teaming, EBT, and advisory simulation. It's really in-depth, and it is like most of my trainings is like this from A to Z. There is no training that is starting from when you are already advanced, and there is no training that leaves you in the middle of the way. I know that so many people ask me like, why Amar you don't create a training like for advanced people, or you create a training like divide your training into multiple parts. And the reason is I cannot leave somebody in the middle of the way. Like I cannot start with somebody from beginner and leave him in the point where he's in the middle. He's not like really good malware analyst yet, or is not a good red teamer yet, and he doesn't know what to do next, and he get lost. Or I can take somebody who's advanced and leave the people who are just starting in that field, because the advanced people are very few. So why I why leave somebody in the middle? Why I don't have something from A to Z, even if it's a massive training, even if it's really a good in-depth training. That's what I want to do. So that's why I decided to create that, and that's for the offensive security, for the red team side. There's also the application bin testing. I started to hear about it as a service more common. If you want to start your own startup or your own penetration testing services, application penetration testing might be something that's needed. It has a little bit of reverse engineering, a little bit of web attacks. It's basically a mix of both. And reverse engineering could be on Android, could be on C++ or Java applications, could be in .NET applications, and mostly for in-house developed applications. I tend to see it there, but it's a little bit less common than the other type of testing, because even less common than British testing is because maybe there's less like homemade developed apps, and if organizations getting really bigger, then they go into DevSec Ops. They don't have like application penetration testing and that's it. They go into DevSec Ops and they start to implement it inside their pipeline. And the reason is because development is mostly it's a cycle. Like you don't develop the whole app and then publish it. You mostly develop like a few features and then you release them, and then another feature you release them, and then a third and fourth and fifth. And this is the agile type of systems, and DevSecOps really fits so well with it. So if you are into the application penetration testing, go more close to DevSecOps. Or if you want to provide your own service of the application penetration testing, that's also fine. That's for the offensive side. Now we go into the blue team. And with the blue team, lots of people start with, well, Security Plus, it's CH, and there's nothing wrong about them. They are really great in giving you all the knowledge. I looked at Security Plus. It's a little bit more fluff at the beginning. And I don't mean with fluff that useless information. I mean with fluff is not useful information when you start. When you are starting, you need the practical information as much as possible. You need to stand out. You need to go on top as fast as possible. You don't need to learn so long about the CIA triad and the credentiality, integrity, availability, and the CVS score and what's CVE, and they are all okay. They are good information, and the risk management and asset management and physical security and data, like all of this information are good, but are not useful for you at the beginning. So you need to get a little bit far from this. CH is a little bit better when it comes to like basics of cybersecurity, but after you go forward, you need to not start with SOC. SOC is great. The SOC is always needed, but there's a problem with SOC. There are multiple problems with SOC. I think two or three now in my mind. The first thing is that you are always seen as a commodity. You are always seen as a replacement. Everybody wants to start in SOC. Every beginner will apply for a SOC job, right? Companies do feel that SOC is easy to find. It's easy to find people who are working in SOC. They don't treat them as experts. They don't treat them as engineers. They treat them as just like call center or support or something a little bit upper than that, but in cybersecurity, like something like this, but in cybersecurity. And this affects the salary, affects the treatment, affects the type of contracts that I do see, shifts that they have, plus the low salary and all of the different things. They're easy to be kicked out. Sometimes it's contracts like non-permanent contracts, and that's really tough. I saw friends of mine, like really close friends of mine, and they are really living a hard life just because they're working in SOC. And I was like, you really need to get out of this. Like, you really need to go away of working from SOC. Not because SOC is bad, it's just the type of treatment you are getting there. You are not treated as an engineer, you are treated as a call center, you're treated as support, somebody who is easy to be replaced. And that's not the best way. As well, this is the first problem. But the second problem, which is more important, is that you spend 2, 3 to 5 years in SOC before you move away from SOC. SOC, you cannot be your full career. SOC is just for a phase at the beginning, for 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, and then you move into being specialized in incident response or malware analysis or threat hunting or whatever the topic is, right? And the knowledge you learn in the 3, 5 years, 20% of them are useful for you in the next step, and 80% are not. Because they push you into learning different tools. Learn QRadar, learn 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 this trend micro product, learn how to use Sophos product, learn how to use this product and that product, learn Juniper and Cisco and this product and that product. And the product learning is not as useful as learning the actual knowledge. If you understand how these products work, it doesn't matter if you're using QRadar or Splunk or Elasticsearch or any different SIEM tool. They all end up being the same. If you are using Trend Micro or Sophos or Semantic or Broadcom Now or McAfee or whatever the product is, they all end up being the same almost. The same concepts, the same ideas applies, and this concept was actually important. And these products, the products themselves, and things specific for these products, most of them are not important. There are few products that might stay with you, like Elasticsearch or Splunk, but the remaining you want. And the knowledge you gain 20% the knowledge about the whole thing, and 80% about this specific product. I remember I was working with a friend of mine, he's a really great guy, and he was studying an RSA type of product. It's a product created by RSA. He knows how to use this product, how to configure it, how to connect it, how to run all the software inside of it. It's like this is his thing. And guess what? This product has discontinued from RSA, and it doesn't. It's not coming back anymore. It's just completely discontinued, and they moved into different products. And all of what he learned about this product, all his thing, what he was specialized at, has just gone like this. And that happens over and over and over again. So you don't need to learn products. You need to learn concepts. You need to learn how these products actually work, not how I can use them. You don't need to be an advanced user. You need to know how the systems work. So this is a bigger problem inside of SOC. There are three problems now. You are not treated as an expert. You are not treated as an engineer. You treated as commodity for them or a support person. You are you are learning products only. You are not really learning how things work. And the third thing, you will move out of SOC anyway. You are after 3, 4, 5 years, you will move away. And guess what? Myself, I never tried to learn SOC. I never worked in SOC. I worked directly as a as a cybersecurity expert in malware analysis. I learned malware analysis. I worked in malware analysis. After 3 months, 3 months exactly, I worked as a senior incident handler with the senior title on my contract. Right, I was treated as an engineer, as an expert. Well, not as an expert, but at least as an engineer working in a really good company. And that's the exact same thing from all my students. When they work in a or many of my students who started to work as a malware analyst or as an incident handler, not as a SOC. SOC is not a bad job, but it's not. It's something you will leave anyway. So it's better that you target the top products. Target was trending, let's say threat hunting, for example, and threat hunting is basically incident response. Threat hunting and incident response are almost the same. The only difference is that threat hunting starts with an assumption of an attack and an idea to investigate with, and incident response just starts with an alert with a real attack had happened. But both follow the exact same process later on. Maybe threat hunting needs a little bit of scripting or programming. Python is the best for. I think Heidi was asking about do I need Python to learn for CISP? You need Python in general. For CISP, you don't need that, but for Python specifically is a very common language that you can learn for cybersecurity is one of the most widely used for scripting and different things. So I always recommend you to learn Python if you can. Not the thing you start with, but is something that you should learn at least 1 year going on in this field. So that's when it comes to blue team. And many people don't understand this, but people think that incident response is a field, threat hunting is another field, threat intelligence is a third field, and malware analysis is fourth, and digital forensics is fifth. They are all different fields. The truth is no. First, what is an ABT attack? ABT attack has like three main phases: phishing, email, story, social engineering part. Then maybe he will have a cloned page of LinkedIn or something. He will steal credentials this way, or he will have a malicious document. A malicious document is a malware, and then this malicious document will run a script. This script is a malware. a PowerShell command or something, that's a malware. And then he drop a backdoor, which is a malware. And then he moved from this machine he infected to another machine through some what's called Kerberos attacks or Active Directory attacks. So that's more of an incident response. And then he will move to another system. He will deploy a malware. That's a malware analysis, right? This is malware part. So all of these parts are all connected. Most of the attack, like 70% malware, 30% or 20% is like AD attacks or like Active Directory attacks, like Kerberos attacks, and so on, and maybe 10% more social engineering and all of this stuff. That's different from one attack to another. Some attacks has web a little bit. Some, like very few of them, has web attacks. And if you're working as an instant handler, you don't always work with attacks that are the top priority attacks. Mostly like common day-to-day attacks. You sometimes you'll work with DDoS attacks or web attacks and web scanning and all of this stuff. That's basically the whole thing, the whole package. And because the malware attacks are quite the root of so many of real attacks right now, or the top attacks that we see, like ransomware attacks. Ransomware is a malware, right? So ransomware attacks and target attacks are all about malware attacks. Then learning malware analysis kind of covers like 60% of what you will learn in this digital investigation realm. So if you want to specialize, like in threat intelligence, is about malware analysis, because if you learn how the malware works, you learn what are the ways you can detect this malware, like the Yara rules, the IOCs. Like IOCs is basically indications of a malware or indications of compromise. So indications of this malware exist, right? So what will be the indication? Maybe he creates some files, maybe he connects to some domains, maybe he has some strings, like all of these different things. This is the indications of compromise. And if you know how malware works, you will know how indication of compromise works. You will know how threat intelligence works. You will know how incident response work, because incident response is about detecting these attacks through logs and through digital investigation as well. And when I talk about incident response, I don't mean the incident response of just scanning a computer and remove the virus. I mean digital investigation, which is the third level. Like you have the SOC tier one, which is just see an alert and basically, basically um, take this alert and give it to the next team, which is the incident response team, or SOC tier 2. And SOC tier 2, which is the incident response, just remediate the attack and that's it. There's the third level. So sometimes they call them SOC tier 3 or digital investigation team. And digital investigation is the team who perform an in-depth investigation on the attack. And to perform an in-depth investigation, they should understand how the malware works in the first place, because most of the attacks include a malware, either a script, a PowerShell script, or a malicious document, or a backdoor, or a Cobalt Strike beacon, sometimes, which we see a lot now. And to understand them, you need to understand malware analysis. If you want to work in digital forensics, for example, and digital forensics is a little bit of a special case. Digital forensics is divided into two: crime investigation, which is the 70%, I think, of digital forensics, and 30% is about incident response and real attacks. If we ignore today the crime investigation, digital forensics to detect attacks are all about detecting malware presence on this machine, or detecting malware artifacts. Like if the malware runs on the machine, we will have some information, like some history in the some maybe partial history. Maybe we will be able to see some partial logs. Maybe we'll see something called the prefetch files, which will tell you the last the applications has run on the system, right? Maybe we'll find like so many different things that can tell you what's happening on the system. Um, so that's basically like the whole idea of digital forensics. So you try to find evidences of a real malware, and if you don't know how malware works, you will not know what evidence to look for. And at the same time, as an instant handler, you will not know what logs you should look at and what artifacts on the system you should actually check. So all of them work under the same umbrella, which is the malware analysis and digital investigation style. Um, And all of that works under the ABT attacks. Like the whole thing that you need to be able to protect an organization from is malware attack or a ransomware attack. A target attack, like a targeted ABT attack, which includes mostly a new malware, or a ransomware attack. And with that, we also provide, like, there are different resources, and luckily there's way more resources about that than red teaming. But as well, there's no like real complete training that focus on ABT attacks or ransomware attacks and this type of attacks that's actually trending right now. So I created also training in that field, which is called the malware incident response, and it covers most of these topics. It covers the incident response, it covers the threat intelligence, covers the malware analysis in depth, of course, and as well it covers the memory forensics, so you can know more about digital forensics. And with all of that, you can also understand threat hunting. And as well, I'm not only providing like for red teaming or for blue team. I don't just provide training. I do provide coaching, and this is completely different. Like people don't really realize how that is way massive difference. Most of companies, or all companies I can see, they only provide training. Take this course and you reach that, and we'll give you an exam and give you a certificate, and that's great. And certificate might be helpful, but if I am stuck or I don't understand something, I just me and Google, and hopefully we'll find the answers, right? But we don't do that. We give you a complete guidance. I'm really coaching you through the career of cybersecurity in malware analysis and outside of malware analysis, in red teaming, in whatever the direction you're going. If you are starting in cybersecurity or you are actually working in another type of job in HR and you want to move to cybersecurity, what exactly the steps I should take? You learn this, and I will guide you through the whole process. You learn that you create your own blog. This is what you write in your blog. This is what you write in your LinkedIn profile. This is how you modify your resume. This is how you apply for a job. This is what you should answer the interview questions. Through the whole process, I guide you, and this is what makes this type of trainings are very unique. Like my training with the malware analysis or the blue team, malware and digital investigation, and as well in the red teaming. Um, and Sultan is asking about the red teaming courses, saying, "Will you teach us, or you will teach us how can we attack any company by ransomware, and how we can create our ransomware to use it?" Of course, just to make sure that before they answer this question, we are doing, like, there's a disclaimer at the beginning of this training. This is for red teaming only. This is not to create your own malware to attack somebody. And I do trust you, Sultan, that this is your goal. It is not about attacking someone. It's about learning this for red teaming for only organizations. Um, and the answer is yes, we do help you develop your own malware, complete malware, your complete backdoor that goes to the system and can do any type of commands, can do anything. Ransomware activities, the encryption part at the end, we you can do it, and we cover everything in between. So we cover from creating your malware, deploying your malware, how to go to the phishing attack, how you can go from how you can move from one machine to another, how to split privileges, how to be the administrator, how to do everything. The only thing that will be left is to write one line of code that say encrypt files, and that's all what you will have left. And we cover from the beginning of the malware analysis until the end. Um, so in the this is for the red teaming, and for the incident response we also cover the malware analysis and incident response. We cover the whole malware analysis process from getting a file for the first time, or even getting this machine has been infected. What we should do, right? We see these machines connecting with a suspicious domain or doing suspicious activities. What we should do, and then I take you through the whole process from just knowing this machine is infected until you have a malware and you have a full analysis over this malware. We cover so many advanced techniques as well as simple ones. We cover network forensics, we cover memory forensics, we cover malware analysis. And the most important really is that we provide real mentorship, like a real coaching through the process. I know, like, coaching these days, if you're applying for any type of coaching, and I see that in marketing and different things, you're paying like 3,000 to 10,000. This is for any coaching I have seen, and I'm still keeping my prices still the same. It's 997 for this for the malware incident response. I don't promise that we'll keep like that for a long time, but at least I'm keeping that for right now. So make sure that if you are interested in the blue team, if you're interested to be the detective, if that's your passion, then follow that path and join us, because this is what you need to learn in incident response, threat hunting, malware analysis, threat intelligence. These topics are all interconnected, and digital forensics for ABT attacks or cybersecurity attacks. All of these topics are connected together. So how to you need to learn the foundation of all of this knowledge, which is the malware attacks and the Kerberos attacks, and you need to learn how you can, like, after this training, the malware incident response training, you have a kind of like a full understanding of the whole knowledge to just, okay, how I can use QRadar. That's easy. The QRadar is super easy now because I know the whole process. I know how attacks work, how ABT attacks work, everything about the whole attack. I understand it. I understand the attack from A to Z. Now I can work in any of these parts. I can start to be a threat hunter because now I understand the attack very well. I can be a digital investigator, an incident handler, because I know how to investigate an attack. I can understand it from the logs as well. And we cover also log analysis, and we cover Splunk and so many different topics. So that's about this training. The link to this training is maltrack.com/join if you are interested to join. I will also write it on YouTube. So that's basically it for the for that direction. And the question comes about the certificates. Certificates is it's really like an interesting topic because certificates is something everybody wants to apply for, but certificates, there is a problem with it. If you have too many certificates, you are overqualified. If you have just enough, there's so many like you, and if you have too little, there's so many better than you. Certificates open doors, but they do not really make you unique, and you need to make sure that you have the extra thing. You can have the certificates, but you need to have as well your own projects that you have created, your own blogs, your own malware analysis papers. And when you do so, whatever a blog, whatever a blog post, an article, a malware analysis paper, a project in C++ or in Python, whatever you create, focus on the two things companies are focusing on: what's trending and what's trending, and what companies fear the most. If you focus on ransomware attacks nowadays or re-evil attacks specifically, you will be on top. If you focus, like, let's say nowadays everybody is afraid of Cobalt Strike because Cobalt Strike has been leaked. It's a Cobalt Strike is an app, is a basically a kind of a malware that's created for red teaming. It's basically a red teaming toolkit, a backdoor for red teaming, and it has been cracked and has been released. And the attackers have used it so many times that it became a kind of it became like a malware that is like very very common right now. It's being used a lot by ransomware attacks. It's basically a great malware, very well developed, and it's accessible. It's free. Everybody start to use it, and companies are afraid of it. Can you write a malware and ask people to detect it? Can you write? Can you actually able to perform memory forensics to detect it in memory and actually create a blog about that? Can, like, today I was attending this SANS threat hunting summit, and the guys had a presentation inside SANS threat hunting summit talking about that they tried to detect Cobalt Strike servers, and they created um, a small project in GitHub to detect this type of Cobalt Strike servers. They just do a scan on the whole internet, all the IPs, and what they do is that they search for specific results coming from the HTTP request. And with that, they know, oh, this is a Cobalt Strike. Let's ask for the configuration, and they get the configurations, and that's it. And they have all of the information coming from their project. The project is not like a massive project. Um, I think the project it's like the project is really really small project. Let's see how many lines is it. But anyway, this project, with just that project, they were able to speak in one of the top inside SANS Threat Hunting Summit, which is really a great summit, and the whole code's like 126 lines. That's really, really low when it comes to Python, because when it comes to any programming language, because you, in Python especially, you have so many enters and so many new lines to make the code looks pretty. So it's not like that massive. And big respect to their work, of course. And I'm not saying that their work is not great, but what I'm saying that they just picked a trendy topic. And once they picked a trendy topic, they were able to not only make their projects a very famous project, but also to speak in conferences, to publicize themselves. And if they are searching for a job, guess what? They will be the first ones who will be chosen by any organization just because they had something trendy. And that's also what we teach when we do coaching to people. We tell them, like, did you create your own blog? Like, the first day you should create your own blog. You should do blog posts on what's trending, what's this, and we give them ideas, like, talk about this story, like as I told you, like, talk about Cobalt Strike, right? If you are in malware analysis, talk about Cobalt Strike, have something that talks about it. And I was saying that like a few days ago, and then I saw a summit that talks about Cobalt Strike again. So it's like one of the topics that you should really focus on. So Anish is asking a really good question. How likely would one succeed with taking the blue teaming with 13 years in tech support, no experience as such in cybersecurity? Here's the thing: I'm a mechanical engineer. I know people who were that are not like not tech support, like not technology related. I was completely outside of technology. I know somebody who's an architect for 7 years, and now he's like he moved to cybersecurity, and he directly worked in in the police, in actually in the security team inside the police. Another person I know who was actually he was not a doctor, or a pharmacist, and he was graduated. He finished his army. He had a military army. Once he finished that, he got a job in Avast, and from Avast he was able to get a job in Al Jazeera, and from there he went to Kaspersky. So switching is possible. Is always possible if you focus on these three things. What's your passion? What is the thing you what's trending right now, and how I can and what the companies fear the most. And once you know the answers to these three questions, now you know where you can fit and how you can build your career in blue teaming. So for your question, definitely you can take the blue teaming with 13 years as a tech support. Definitely. And this is a great job because you already have all the administration background. You understand systems so well. You understand Windows, you understand Linux, you understand Mac, hopefully. You understand how all of these systems work. You understand maybe domain controller and DMZs and all of these different systems and how they connect together. I hope you do. And you might be also understand network protocols. If you do as well, that will be a really, really great thing. Now's the time to just study and as well build your own image. How you can show that you are someone who understands the market, who understand the um, who understands the market, who understands what companies are looking for. You communicate that professionally. You show reports, blog posts. You have like you go to Medium and create your own blog, and you create topics about the current attacks, the current issues. What are the how to detect a cobalt strike in your system, the new IOCs, different things, and you don't need to create new ideas. You just have to go to Twitter, follow the right people, so many people, follow everyone in cybersecurity, and your Twitter will be flooded with topics, the trendy topics, the IOCs, the malwares that you can download and analyze, the topics that you can talk about, and all what you need to do is to understand these topics, collect these tweets, understand them. If you can experience them by analyzing the malware they are talking about, or basically download these logs or access these systems or replicate the same issue, replicate the same vulnerability, and test that, you already have a complete blog post, and this blog post will boost you way up in LinkedIn profile. And I see that really does wonders for so many people who are building their career in blue teaming, especially in blue teaming, because like in red teaming people share, and there's so many blogs and articles, there's just no real courses. But the people in red teaming do share, and people in penetration testing they do share. But when it comes to blue team, nobody's sharing. Like nobody's sharing the threat hunting ideas. Nobody's sharing the new attacks. Like nobody's sharing, and companies don't share enough. So if you are the one who is sharing, you are the one from the top. So that's a really interesting part. Um, Ahmad Tariq is asking how to find cybersecurity internships. Well, the first thing is LinkedIn. As well as an internship, you need to prove yourself too, because internships they say, well, we want an internship, but some companies do use internship as a way to bring somebody who doesn't have an experience, and rather than they give them a good salary, they give them an exposure, they give them an experience, they give them something in their resume, so they give them something else, and that's how they search for internship. So even if for internship, you need to be ready, you need to be the top candidate as well. So the first thing is to have an image up there on LinkedIn, have your own GitHub, have your own LinkedIn profile that's clean, have your own blog that is clean, that's a really good communication that talks about the trending topics, and then go to LinkedIn and search. And there are lots of internships, especially from startups. Uh, you can also like there is you can focus on startups where you can message actually the CEOs. Like I have cases where I talked with the CEO with the company, right? I talked to directly with him for this job. You can do exactly that. You can go to LinkedIn for jobs. You can go even for Y Combinator. Y Combinator is a kind of a startup kind of area, and for it there is different companies who post their new jobs or post jobs inside of Y Combinator, and you can find something related to cybersecurity in there. Either cybersecurity companies you will work with, or other companies that wants to have cybersecurity team, and you can apply from there. And like startups do like more the idea of internship, because as I told you, it's they have very limited budget, they have very little money, but they have other things to give, like training. They can give um, they can give experience, they can give other things to you, and the exchange is a little bit different. And again, LinkedIn is full of internships. You just search on LinkedIn or in Glassdoor, and you will find a lot. And once you find, do message the managers directly, do message the companies, the hiring manager, the manager who will be your manager when you work in this company. And with a little bit of research on LinkedIn, you can find them. Just reach out to them and ask them directly. Um, how likely is you can do remote cybersecurity work in Blue Team? Well, all my life in Tenable, I worked remote. Before Corona, after Corona, I was working as a remote. It depends on the company. It depends on the culture of the company. Right now, it's getting better, but there is two different questions here. Is remote, you mean remote just working from home, or remote you work from another country? Working from another country is a little bit of a tax issue, because when you are working from remote, you're working from another country, there is a problem where you will have to pay taxes for your country, and they will have to pay taxes for you. So if they are giving you a salary, they are paying taxes for you first, and then you receive the salary, you pay taxes in your own country. So you are double taxed in these cases, which is a little bit tricky. And that's the only thing you should be worried about when it comes to remote work. Um, the only thing you can do is to work as a contractor, and with them they will pay taxes for you. You can do whatever you want with your own income in your country if you have another way around it, but that's mostly the issue. Do I need physics for cybersecurity? I never saw physics really important, except if you are really developing like a quantum type of new computer. Apart from that, you will not need any physics at all. Also, you will need physics if you are developing games, but you will not need it in cybersecurity. So No, you don't need physics. Math, you do need math a little bit. And most of the math you do need is basically in when it comes to something like machine learning, where you will need the math. But if you're not going to machine learning, you don't need the math at all. So most of the things you learn in engineering as topics, you will not see them really useful when it comes to cybersecurity hands-on work. When you will learn you will learn something like math and physics and all of these different subjects. They are not as important to you when it comes to cybersecurity as learning Python, for example, right? The same when you learn database, for example, is important. Data structures might not be as important as learning how network protocols work, right? The priority of your topics is different when it comes to cybersecurity. The math and physics are the least ones. Might be data structure is a little bit more important, but not as important as internet protocols or things like that. Some people might say, well, you don't have the basics right. You are not a really good engineer because you don't have the real foundation. For me, I don't care. I came from mechanical engineer, so I don't really care about the right basics. The most important is your hands on practice, what you can really do when it comes to the job, in the short term and in the long term, in day to day job, and as well in the whole cybersecurity strategy. Computer science versus computer engineering to study in college for cybersecurity. Um, well, if you will choose one, then I will tell you choose computer science. Computer engineering, I think, is mostly focused on IoT stuff. If you want to be an IoT cybersecurity, then you can go ahead with that. But computer science is a little bit closer, at least, to all the development and web attacks. And you can study web, so you can learn web attacks. You can study database. You can know SQL, and then you can know SQL injection, and you can study different programming languages, which will be helpful for you. If you learn Java, which is a little bit close to .NET and a little bit close to C++ at some point, and things will come together. But at the end of the day, they are not the ones who will make a big definition here. The main thing will be what you're learning in cybersecurity. I think my time is about to finish up here. I'm actually over the time with 10 minutes. So, uh, any last question, guys? And again, the recordings are there. I will be sharing that video again on my LinkedIn for anybody who joined later and who had added this live to his calendar, and it was 1 hour earlier, and he kind of felt there was no presentation. Then 1 hour later, there was my presentation live here. I'm really sorry for this issue. When I was creating the ad event or the event in the add to calendar, I choose the the time zone was a little bit different than what I thought, and there was some issues. So I'm really sorry from that. Ahmad Tariq, greetings from homeland, brother. Thank you very much. I really hope to come back maybe next year when things get easier with all the corona and all this stuff. And if there is no additional questions, if there's any additional questions, please, guys, type it here. And if not, really thank you guys for joining today. It has been really, really great. I wish there was more and more lives, and for sure I will come again and again, and I will be talking about different questions you guys asked. So I decided that rather than I choose the topic that I want to choose, I will ask you guys first, what is the most important struggle that you have in your business, in your career, or in your cybersecurity career? And from that, I can help you out by going live and answering that exact question. And today, the question that I got the most which was which cybersecurity path I should follow. And then hopefully, this live has summarized the answer for you. What exactly you should learn, what's the path you should choose. Choose based on passion, choose based on choose based on your what's trending in the topic and what companies fear the most in that field. Last thing we do provide, if you choose the blue team, we do provide the malware incident response training, and it's really a great training in the whole digital investigation area. If you want to work in incident response, malware analysis, threat hunting, threat intelligence, it's really about what's trending in the topic in this field right now, which is the which is the ABT attacks and the threat hunting as well. It's all about what is what companies fear the most, which is the ABT attacks and target ransomware. And this training really cover that very well. If you choose the offensive side, if you choose the red teaming side, we do have a red teaming training which focus on what is trending right now in that field, which is the red teaming. It's the red teaming or adversary emulation is something appeared recently after the Meta has released their Meta attack map with all the attackers' tactics and techniques and procedures. It There's a new field that has appeared called red teaming and became really trending right now. So we decided to provide a training in that field, and as well we focus on what companies fear the most, which is the malware attacks, the new attacks, the ABT attacks, and the target ransomware attacks. And in this way, we decided to make this training focus on malware development and focus on creating a new malware to test any systems against new ransomware attack and see how they respond, how the team can able to detect their attacks. So I recommend you to join this training. It's in the pre-order now. It will be released very soon by the end of October as well. Most of the content has been already developed. You will get as well, if you pre-order right now, you will get access to Kickstart Your Cybersecurity Career training that will be for free, and as well you will get access to the programming, the C++ programming training called C++, or sorry, the programmer mindset, which focus on the problem solving in C++. It's really a complete training in C++ that gives you really good background to get into this training and develop your own malware there with us. This will be only for the next 15 students. So make sure that you join if you want to access these bonuses. The link is on YouTube, https:// slash red teaming. So that's basically it. And so She is saying, thank you kindly for your time and sharing all of this with us. Please open you. Thank you very much. And thank you guys for joining and being with me for all that time. See you in the next live. I will try to get live again and again. And one last question here is malware development in red teaming or blue teaming? Is it a little bit of confusing? Malware development is in red teaming because you develop a malware to basically attack an organization with it and see if they are actually able to detect this attack. So this is offensive. You develop a malware, you deploy it, that's an offensive side. So it's in red teaming. Malware analysis, which are analyzing a virus and basically investigate a virus that's already there in the system and detect what it does, what domains it connects to, and so on. That's a blue team because that's the investigation side. That's in the incident response, investigation, threat hunting, malware analysis. It's in that direction. And that's basically a blue team. So malware development is in red team, malware analysis is in the red team. And again, they are all two sides of the same coin. They all talk about malware attacks and ABT attacks and target ransomware attacks, which is what companies are afraid of the most nowadays. So learning which each side of them is really, really critical to better protect an organization and as well to find a job in that field if you want to do so. So hopefully that answers all of your guys' questions. See you in the next live.